Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro warned the U.S. willing to wage war for oil in 2019 interview. "They are going to bomb us," Maduro told ABC News. Dismiss Maduro warned U.S. willing to wage war for oil in 2019 interview. Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro told ABC News in a 2019 interview that he was bracing for a war with the United States over his country's oil. Eduardo Munoz, Reuters. The U.S. military captured Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife Saturday, bringing them to the United States, where the 63-year-old pleaded not guilty Monday to narco-terrorism and corruption charges in a New York City federal court. Charges that government prosecutors allege stretch back 25 years. As early as 2019, however, Maduro told ABC News that he was bracing for a war with the United States over his country's oil and accused the U.S. government of trying to fabricate a crisis to escalate a military conflict in South America. The United States wants oil from Venezuela and is willing to go on a war for oil, Maduro told ABC News in an interview at the presidential palace in Caracas. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is escorted as he heads to an initial court appearance to face U.S. federal charges including narco-terrorism, conspiracy, drug trafficking, money laundering, and others in New York City, January 5, 2026. Eduardo Munoz, Reuters. At the time, Maduro was facing mass protests across Venezuela, led by the U.S.-backed opposition leader Juan Guaido, amid the country's spiraling economic and humanitarian crises, including a food and medicine shortage and rolling blackouts. In the wake of Saturday's raid, Trump has spoken extensively about extracting and selling Venezuelan oil, as well as that the U.S. was going to run Venezuela. But officials in his administration have insisted that Maduro's capture was a law enforcement operation. They always invent pretexts. The 2019 ABC News interview occurred about a year before Maduro was initially indicted in the Southern District of New York. Maduro did not say if he was aware that he was under investigation for narco-terrorism and gave no hint that he was about to be indicted. They always invent pretexts, always inventing excuses, Maduro said of the United States. To invade Iraq, they invented that there were weapons of mass destruction, and then it was embarrassment when it was known that it was all a lie. It was just an excuse for a pretext. People protest against U.S. strikes against Venezuela and the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro outside the Daniel Patrick Moynihan United States Courthouse in New York City, January 5, 2026. Leading up to Maduro's capture, the U.S. military conducted a series of airstrikes on boats in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific that Trump administration officials alleged were loaded with drugs and headed to the United States from Venezuela. At least 35 strikes have been carried out since September, killing 115 people, according to numbers announced by the Trump administration. Senator Lindsey Graham, RSC, who was traveling with Trump on Air Force One on Sunday, told reporters that Maduro rejected a deal from the United States to step down and leave Venezuela in exchange for a life in exile. In the 2019 interview with ABC News, Maduro said, "I will never surrender. I would never betray our people. I will be loyal to our people in all circumstances. And, in the end, I will be rewarded with victory. I am sure of that," Maduro said. "And my country is being attacked by the most powerful force that has ever been known in history. They want to swallow us. They haven't been able to because we are real. They want our oil, they want our wealth. This is an oil war." At the time, Maduro said he rejected the United States offer to send humanitarian aid to Venezuela, describing the offer as a Hollywood show he alleged was designed to cover up the true intentions of an escalation to control and dominate our country. They are trying to fabricate a crisis to justify political escalation and military intervention in Venezuela to bring war to South America, Maduro said. Trump alleges oil was stolen just hours after Maduro's capture, Trump announced at a news conference at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. that the U.S. would run Venezuela for an unspecified period of time. And the president emphasized the importance of Venezuela's oil production. "We'll run it properly. We'll run it professionally. We'll have the greatest oil companies in the world go in and invest billions and billions of dollars and take out money, use that money in Venezuela. And the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela," Trump said. Supporters of Chavismo demonstrate during a march in support of the start of the National Assembly in Caracas, Venezuela, January 5, 2026. Trump alleged the oil was stolen and said, "We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago." He said that in addition to the United States, the proceeds would benefit the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. In a press gaggle on Sunday, Trump did not give a timeline about when elections would take place, and instead insisted that Venezuela was a dead country that had to be brought back. President Donald Trump speaks to the media aboard Air Force One en route to Washington, January 4, 2026. Delcy Rodriguez, who has served as Venezuela's vice president since 2018, was sworn in on Monday as the country's interim president. Asked what the U.S. needs from Rodriguez, Trump said, "We need total access. We need access to the oil and to other things in their country that allow us to rebuild their country." American tourists stranded across the Caribbean after airspace closed for Maduro-captured U.S. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, who was also traveling with Trump on Air Force One on Sunday, mentioned other natural resources in Venezuela. "They have a great mining history that's gone rusty. So steel, aluminum, minerals," Lutnick said. "It was once upon a time one of the great economies and cultures of the world. But it was destroyed, and now President Trump is going to fix it and bring it back." Vice President of Venezuela. Delcy Rodriguez reacts after being sworn in as acting president of Venezuela during the inaugural session for the 2026-2031 legislative constitutional period at Palacio Federal Legislativo, January 5, 2026 in Caracas. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer denounced the U.S. operation to capture Maduro while also describing Maduro as a horrible, horrible person. "You don't treat lawlessness with other lawlessness, and that's what's happened here," Schumer told ABC's This Week anchor, George Stephanopoulos. Other Democrats suggested the purpose of the Maduro mission was regime change and exploiting the country's oil reserves. Trump's Don Roe doctrine seeks influence over Western Hemisphere, citing old U.S. policy. This is another broken promise by an unfocused president who is more concerned with foreign oil and regime change than solving Americans' most pressing economic challenges, said Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia. The Maduro prosecution is also prompting renewed questions over Trump's full pardon last month of former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was convicted in 2024 of trafficking drugs into the United States. In a statement on Saturday, Senator Mark Warner, D.V.L., the ranking member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, said, "Hypocrisy underlying this decision is especially glaring." Trump said in a November 28 social media post that he was pardoning Hernandez because the former leader was treated harshly and unfairly, according to many people that I greatly respect.